I'll introduce myself in a bit, but first I wanted to introduce Elder Wallace. If you are here in Calgary or on Lokinsis, it's such a beautiful day, and so we'd love to invite Elder Wallace to ground us today and open up in a good way. And I encourage you to minimize the distractions and really be here with us all in this moment. Over to you, Elder Wallace.
Oh, thank you, Kichimigwich. In my language, I am a Sutu Cree person from southeastern Saskatchewan. A little place called Broadview, Saskatchewan, along the #1 highway. We're just north of there. We've got 4 reservations, and I'm from the Kakyowistahow. So that is where I hail from, and I've been living here in Calgary since 1974, chasing jobs when I came. We had a young family at that time, and all our children grew up here, and we got beautiful jobs with oil industry, and yeah, they treated us well. So we're doing good. We're quite happy to be living here in Calgary. Such a beautiful place. Everything is nearby, you know. Anyways, what I'm going to do is I'll start off with a smudge. Normally, that's what we like to do as in our culture. It doesn't matter which tribe it is. We all basically do it the same way, do things the same way. And so that's what we usually do. We'll start off with a smudge, and I'll do a prayer and ask Creator to come and sit with us today and take care of things, take care of us. And I'm going to sing a prayer song. After I've said my prayer, I'm going to sing the song. I'm going to call in the eagle spirit to come and look after us while we're doing our meeting here today. And just to mention something that I'm quite interested in this 369 process program that you have going here. It really strikes home with me because we're raising 2 little boys, my wife and myself. We have a 10-year-old now and an 11-year-old, and we raised them right from the time they came from the hospital. That's who we are, and that's what we're doing at the moment. Beautiful life. We're really enjoying things. Got my COVID shot on Monday. Ooh, a little sore, but it's great. You know, I think everybody should get that. You know, we need to get rid of this COVID that's going around. I call for it to leave on a daily basis in my prayers. I do prayers every morning and every evening. Asking Creator to put it away now because that's enough. It's come here. It's a spirit. It's came here to show us what we're doing that's not so good in this world. So it's shown us a lot of things. You know, if you look at it and just see all the positives that have come out of this, it's great. But it's done its job, so now we're asking it to go back to where it came from. We're done. We don't need it anymore. And yeah, with that, I think we'll get started with the prayer and the prayer song. So first of all, I'm going to smudge myself. Just a little bit of smudge for everybody out there. Inani Mishomis, Grandfather, God, Ichimigwechka Pijayanamano the Mishomis. Thank you for coming to sit with us, Creator. Anum Gumninunde, Namia Koeni Mishomis, Nikwich Minpundi. I want to say a prayer today, asking good things to happen to our communities and our people in Mishomis. Everybody in this circle, we ask that you give them a blessing. Look after each one of them and their families, friends, neighbors, elders, even the unborns in the Mishomis. Those are the future. Thank you for coming to look after us. Thank you for coming to sit with us. We ask you to be kind to each and every one of us. We're only human beings, and we're doing the best that we can, the way we know how to do things. You're the only one that knows how to look after your people here on earth. Thank you for coming to sit with us. We ask you to look after us now, Mishomis. Help us with our meetings. Help us with our talks. Help each and every one of us that are here in a good way. I'm gonna sing an eagle song now to ask the eagle to come in and protect us from anything that goes wrong, any negativity. Excuse me. Thank you for coming to sit with us. Thank you for looking after your people. Thank you. Okay. Our blessing is done. We're ready to carry on.
Chimagwich, Elder Wallace, and hand to heart from all of us. And you absolutely always create such a great sense of grounding and community. And that's why we're all here together today is that we are a community that wants great things for our community. And that is how the Indigenous way has always been. And at Enough for All, where myself and Jacqueline Silbernagel, who's also on this call, work, we believe there is no healthy community without good partnership with our Indigenous brothers and sisters. And so we are just so grateful to you, Elder Wallace, Chimagwich.
Miigwech, thank you for that. I think you're all great also.
And Elder Wallace is quickly becoming a real expert on this subject area. So thank you everyone for being here today. I'm Megan and I am with Vibrant Communities Calgary, and we are the stewards of Enough for All, which is the collectively owned, that's everybody on this screen, our community poverty reduction strategy. And we are happy and lucky to partner with Calgary Reads on the 369 series. before I hand it over to Stacy, who's the fearless leader of this Calgary Reads movement, I will just it's kind of interesting, Elder Wallace, what you said about inviting, COVID sort of came in to teach us something, and hopefully we're learning that. And then we can move kind of forward in a really different way. I was lucky enough, I don't wake up early often, but I did yesterday. I heard Stacy on CBC radio giving an interview about how, the pandemic has really put a huge spotlight on some of the things we already knew around children, learning, mental health. And it got me thinking about the vaccine. So we've been vaccinating kids for a really long time, and we don't think too much about measles, mumps, and rubella because they don't get it because we vaccinated them. We're thinking about vaccines a lot right now. But really, that sort of early learning and early childhood literacy is the most powerful vaccine we have around mental health and around poverty reduction for children, so that when they grow up in the world, they can have a very different experience. And so I just think it's an interesting time to be thinking this way about this. We encourage you to engage in whatever way feels great for you. So if you would like to contribute on the chat, please go ahead and do so. We'll capture your questions over there. And I believe you can raise your hand or start waving. We'll start to see you, I'm sure. But we'd love to hear your questions and insights as we go through our time together today. So without further ado, I will throw it over to Stacy, the fantastic leader of Calgary Reads, who has really brought us all together today.
Thanks, Megan, so much. And again, thank you, Elder Wallace, for joining us again as well. Today, I just want to, and I know I see on the list, there are many people who have joined us before, and I thank you for coming back. And there are lots of new names and faces, which is very exciting for us. There's about 60 people in the room, and we couldn't fit all of you at Calgary Reads. So I guess sometimes this Zoom turns out to be an okay thing because we can make the circle bigger. I wanted to just give context again. 369 is a new name, I guess, that's starting to show up in community. And it's this delightful merger of our longstanding First 2000 Days network work that for 7 years we were trying to change the conversation about the importance of children. And also we had a coalition of people, part of the grade level reading campaign. And both of those entities sadly were not able to be sustained. They weren't resourced. And so we're starting from scratch and trying again with a new identity. And 369 represents the very important milestones for young children. And our dream would be a citywide strategy in support of children 0 to 8 years of age. And if we pay attention to the 3-year-old's vocabulary, that 3-year-old's vocabulary predicts their school readiness and their ability to come to reading when they're 6. And children reach a very important milestone as they transition from grade 3 and they become about 9 years of age. We expect them to know how to read, and then they need to use reading for the rest of their life to learn. And this 369 is a new way of saying, again, we care about children from birth to age 8, and together it will take the community to find important and new and impactful ways to ensure that all of our children are resilient and thriving. I'm not sure if any of you saw the story on, not my story, a different story on CBC last night about the impact of young children and mask wearing, and how this is going to be something that we also have to be really intentional about. A baby up until about 4 months of age watches people's eyes. So they're going to be okay because we can see our eyes when we wear a mask. At about 8 months, though, neuroscientists have proven that babies start to shift where they look on our faces, and they become very reliant on lip reading and paying attention to the mouth region. So this is where our 8 months and older children are going to need these extra conversations and more face-to-face time with the people who don't have to wear a mask in their life. And I found this story fascinating, and I encourage you to watch that link. Watching these little 3-year-olds and their preschool teacher trying to teach them about recognizing people's intonation, their body language. They recommended that if you are in the midst of young children, that you find a mask that identifies your personality so that they come to associate you with the butterfly mask or whatever you might choose. In my case, it would totally be a sunflower painted all over my mask. And I think that story just reminded me how important this 369 conversation is. And the pandemic pre and post is needing us to be intentional for the well-being of our children. And if we know and believe the research, which I certainly do, that Lena has brought into our lives, if children need 40 conversational turns per hour, 40 conversational turns per hour, and that has equated into higher IQs. And they are proving that this back and forth within a 5-second interval between young children and caring adults will absolutely guarantee long-term cognitive development at a greater rate, at an advanced rate. That's pretty amazing that 2-year-old and the amount of time we look at them, we talk to them, is going to build their life trajectory. This is why 369 matters, and why you being here, I hope, is a good investment of your time. And we hope that you will continue to join us for the next set of sessions that we have booked up until the end of June. So today, I'm really excited to be able to get to introduce you to Laurie and to hear what she's going to share with us. Laurie came to us through PolicyWise, and PolicyWise are much wiser than us when it comes to research and evaluation. And we engaged in work with Laurie and the team at PolicyWise because we really wanted to have a strong case, or not, we weren't sure, but we had a hunch that people who read were faring better with their mental well-being during this stressful time. And why was that? What was that about? And was it true, or was it just our imagination? Because at Calgary Reads, we think everything is connected to your literacy life. And we were really reassured when Laurie did the review and wrote the report for us to know that there is science behind this, and that it is true that it is good. It is a good protective buffer for our mental well-being if we are literate and we love to read, and we make sure that we cuddle up with kids and read with them during this time. And Laurie's going to tell you all about the science. And that science helped us build a case for a new initiative we call the Comfort Collection. Laurie will probably tell you more about that as well today. And the Comfort Collection, we received funding from the city of Calgary to test this as a fast attempt at a mental health strategy here within our city. And all of that is really exciting for us as we all try to make sure that we are living the healthiest lives that we can. So, Laurie, I turn it over to you so that we can all listen and learn. And thank you for agreeing to do this today.
Oh, thank you, Stacy. Just give me a second to share my screen. Pull up my speaker notes here. All right, get everything sorted on my screen here. All right, well, thank you very much for the introduction and for the prayer, Elder Wallace. That was a great way to start. our time together and set a great mood for our conversation. As Stacey said, my name is Laurie Vermeylen, and I work for PolicyWise for Children and Families. And I'm very thrilled to be here talking with you today about something that's very near and dear to my heart, which is reading. I am a big fan of books. So our goals for this presentation today, or in other words, what I hope you can leave today knowing more about, is understanding more about the impact of reading on mental health and well-being. So this might be new content for some of you, and it might be fairly familiar to others, knowing we probably have quite a range of expertise in our audience today. But either way, I hope that you can, through this sharing of our recent work, you'll be able to leave today with a basic understanding of these potential benefits that reading can have for your mental health and well-being. Another goal is to help you to feel inspired about how you can apply this knowledge in your life, both professionally and/or personally. And connected to that goal, as Stacey was saying, I'm going to be sharing about an evaluation PolicyWise did on the Calgary Reads Comfort Collection book bundles, which is an example of how Calgary Reads is applying this knowledge and getting books in the hands of families, helping to teach parents and service delivery staff about these benefits of reading together. So you might see some similarities here with other work that you're part of in terms of early literacy and caregiver capacity building. I'd love to hear more examples of the work you're also doing in this area, perhaps in our discussion time at the end. So in order to achieve these goals, I'm going to be sharing findings from 2 projects that Calgary Reads has recently contracted PolicyWise to work on. So a literature review exploring the impact of reading on mental health and well-being, and then that evaluation of the rapid piloting of the Comfort Collection. But before I get into all of those details, I wanted to start off with an interactive icebreaker activity. So doing something a little bit different and getting to know the group a little bit more. And so this activity is going to involve using the annotate function. So perhaps you're already familiar with it. If not, you need to go onto your screen, and somewhere along the top there, either when you click view options, or you might see it just right along the top, there should be a button somewhere called annotate. And when you click that, you'll get another toolbar that pops up. And we're going to use the text and the stamp function today. So I'll just give everyone a few seconds to find those controls if you haven't yet. And maybe say something if you're having trouble finding them. I'm taking silence as a good sign. All right, so I have 5 questions for you, and it's about your reading habits. So the first one here is, clicking through. So using a stamp function, can you please place a stamp on one of your favorite reading genres? And this might be a hard decision to make because I don't know which I would pick as my favorite, but, and certainly this is not all genres. I was trying to fit as many as I could, and they're also overlapping, but just as a fun starter. Oh, quite a spread. This is great. I'm intrigued the people clicking other, if you want to add in your chat function of what are the other genres that I know I'm missing lots because there's just so much out there, but please let us know. Okay. Perfect. Well, I see those kind of slowing down, so maybe I'll say we'll pause on that one now. So I'm going to just clear everyone's stamps and we'll move on to the next question, which is, so thinking on average, how many books would you say that you read a month? Go ahead and use your stamp function again to fill in where you're at. Nice, nice. Again, got a bit of a range.
Laurie, we had one answer for the what's your
yeah.
other. We had a classic of Louis L'Amour Westerns.
Oh, yep, Westerns. I thought of that one, didn't have space to put that one. That's a good one.
Jill Russell said, I've started reading classics like Judy Blume with my daughter. That's nice.
Awesome. Perfect, thanks. So it looks like the majority of people who answered did the 1 to 2 books a month. So that's great. If I was to put myself, I would be in the 5 to 6, I would say. I see we've got a few big keeners up here with the 7+. That's awesome. All right, so I'm going to clear that again and go on to the next one. The third question, again, try and do like one stamp. Indicate what's your favorite time to read. I think for this one myself, I want to click all of the above, but only if I can take out early in the morning, because I am not a morning person and I don't want to do anything early in the morning. So I would click all of the above except for that one. But yeah, seeing a lot of evening and right before bed fans. That's wonderful. There's just really no wrong answer here. All right, so I'm going to clear that one. Keep going on. So now question 4, what format of books do you prefer? And use a stamp again there.
We've got a few people in the chat sharing some things that they're reading now with their daughter and grandchildren. So Shannon said she's reading Ramona and Beezus, Beverly Cleary to her daughter. And Lorraine said she's been reading lots of her favorites from her childhood with her kids recently.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yes, and thanks, Natalie, for keeping an eye on the chat. I might miss things as we keep going, but thank you.
Yeah, sure.
So it's certainly looking like all of the physical books are really the winners here. For myself, I would say a mixture. I really love my physical books, but I also have gotten quite into audiobooks as well. So I like having both.
Can I give a little plug here, Laurie, for
Absolutely.
all those people who voted for physical books? Be sure you come shopping at the Calgary Reads book sale, which we are going to have in May.
This is excellent news. Something I look forward to every year and really missed it last year. So I'm very glad to hear. Perfect. Okay, so I will clear these now and we have one last question. So question 5, this one, I will invite you to use the text function and write one of your favorite books. And you'll note it doesn't say your favorite book because that's too hard to decide. It's just one of your favorite books. And I might have to take a screen capture of this and like use it as a reading list once we hear what everyone's favorites are. Oh yeah, I can move things. Here, I'm trying to move things a bit so we can read it easier. Yeah, these are great. Quite a range of those genres again. Nice, nice. We'll give like another 15 seconds if anyone's just typing something in. it's a tough decision picking a favorite. All right, well, I might wrap it up here. Certainly some good options in the selection. So I will clear that now, and that will be our fun annotate adventure for the day. So thank you everyone for participating. Oh, didn't clear everyone. There we go. Okay, so now we'll keep going. That was really fun, and I love using that annotate function for these Zoom meetings, and give everyone a chance to be part of that initial warm up of our conversation together. So now that I've heard a little bit more about you, I wanted to share briefly a little bit more about myself. So that is me in the center there with my partner, Dan. So we live here in Calgary, and we have 3 fur babies. That is my dog and our 2 cats along the side there that keep us very busy and covered in pet hair. As I said, we live in Calgary, and both of our immediate families mostly do too. Just I have 2 younger sisters, and one of them is living in Toronto right now. But this is a photo of my mom and dad and one of my sisters on a fall hike this last fall. If you haven't guessed already, I'm an avid reader and I love reading. And so I put 3 of my favorite books, and it was hard to limit it just to that. But those are a few of my favorite books. And then lastly, I also really love yoga, and this was also in COVID times when we were doing yoga outside when it was summer. So I'm looking forward to hopefully being able to do that again this summer. And so that's me personally. And then in terms of where I work, as mentioned, I work for PolicyWise for children and families. And PolicyWise is a not-for-profit organization, and we have offices in Calgary and Edmonton. Our mission is to inform, identify, and promote effective social policy and practice to improve the well-being of children, youth, families, and communities. So this can span a wide range of topic areas, including the work that I'm going to be talking about today on early literacy, but we also work in areas such as like youth mental health and early childhood supports and resources, and really all over the map. I've done work recently with Children's Services Family Resource Networks, their Early Childhood Coalitions of Alberta, various home visitation agencies, the Calgary Public Library, just to name a few. So perhaps we've crossed paths before. You might have worked with PolicyWise before, and even back when we used to be the Alberta Centre for Child, Family and Community Research, or ACCFCR, because I'm seeing a lot of familiar names, so perhaps we have come across each other before. And I see there's just an extra annotate added, so I'm just going to quickly clear that. All right. Moving along further, so now getting into our content for today. So over the last summer, PolicyWise was contracted by Calgary Reads to do a rapid literature review to explore the benefits of reading for the general population, and in particular for children and parents. So the purpose of this review was to explore the link between your reading and potential for improving your mental health and well-being. This is a wide range of area for study. And so the focus of our literature review was really placed on the preventative nature of reading, as opposed to using reading as more of an intervention, and specifically on parents and children reading together. This was a rapid project aiming to build off of existing bodies of knowledge. So not necessarily to create new evidence, but pull from this wealth of research that's on this topic. So our focus was to gather the key messages, and especially in terms of how this topic applies to Calgary's mission. And just a note too, when I use the term parent in this presentation, I'm really including any caregiver or an important adult in a child's life. And I do see a thing that says move this window away from the shared screen, because I think something's blocking it right at the top there, but there's nothing there. So I don't know how to move it away. Yeah, I might, here, maybe I'll quickly stop sharing and then reshare the screen. Sometimes that has helped.
I tried moving it too, but it didn't work.
Yeah. Is it still there? Okay, so that's good. So we'll see if this works better now. All right, so we found that there is extensive evidence on the benefits of reading. Regular recreational reading is an important aspect of self-care, and it can contribute positively to mental health and well-being across all ages. So some of these benefits include increased empathy and understanding of others. Perspective taking, which is an essential element of empathy, occurs when reading and provides the reader the opportunity to experience and learn about complex social interactions. As people read, they take on different perspectives of characters, and they can embody the feelings that characters exhibit and continue to build on various aspects of empathy over time. Understanding someone else's mental state is also referred to as theory of mind. Developing your theory of mind is fundamental in establishing and maintaining social relationships. Reading can help you develop this ability by requiring you to project yourself into the events of the story. For children, developing theory of mind is when they come to understand that other people have thoughts and feelings different from their own. Perspective taking also provides children the opportunity to use imagination skills to understand how to reconstruct problems to help others. Through the use of their imagination, reading can help children experience other worlds and worldviews. Learning complex social information in a more accessible way can ultimately lead to changed perceptions and behavior towards others, such as reducing prejudices. Another benefit is that reading can help you to strengthen useful skills, such as problem solving, communication skills, the ability to self-regulate, and your cognitive functioning. So being able to solve problems, communicate effectively, and regulate your own behavior and emotions are valuable daily skills for adults and children. Reading can help us to learn how to problem solve through strategies that are modeled by characters in books and apply these strategies in our own lives. Books can help people to think differently and to exercise mental flexibility, providing safe opportunities to analyze situations. Reading can strengthen communication skills by developing your vocabulary and increasing your emotional literacy, which is your ability to express your own emotions. Learning to communicate and reflect on what you've read can help children to make those connections within their own lives. Communication skills are essential for building relationships with others, and therefore are really strongly connected with positive mental health and well-being. Another frequently cited benefit of reading includes how it has the potential to help us to reduce our stress, anxiety, depression, and feelings of loneliness. Developing those problem-solving and communication skills that I was just describing can help to strengthen our ability to identify and cope with stressful situations. Reading can create parallel worlds where our own personal anxieties can recede. It can also help us realize that the problems we experience are not ours alone. Therefore, it can be both a distraction from current situations, as well as a way to feel more connected to different communities and to others who have experienced the same challenges that we're going through. Readers have been found to have higher levels of self-esteem and ability to cope with difficult situations due to having expanded repertoires of experience that they can draw on and explore. Additionally, reading can aid in relaxation and therefore can be part of one's stress management strategies. Another way reading has been found to be beneficial for our mental health is that incorporating reading into a bedtime routine can be a helpful way to help us prepare for sleep. Established daily bedtime routines are part of practicing good sleep hygiene, which is an essential factor for our mental health and well-being. It's important that adults and children alike get their required amount of sleep, and establishing a bedtime routine can help with that. The benefits of established reading bedtime routines for children can include improved sleep, emotional and behavioral regulation, parent-child attachment, and family functioning. The regular closeness of such a routine can enhance parent-child relationships and give parents the opportunity to be emotionally available. And more on that coming up in just a bit. So in addition to those benefits of reading that I just went through, which are for people of all ages, this next section of the presentation really focuses on the range of mutual benefits connected to when parents and children are reading together. And these benefits are certainly interconnected and overlapping and really reinforcing. So they have the potential for creating momentum by building off of each other. Reading together can help children to develop their cognitive and social emotional abilities. So as I mentioned earlier, reading can help people of all ages to develop essential skills. Parents and children reading together can support a range of outcomes, including social and emotional competence, cognitive development, communication, vocabulary, and language skills. When reading together, parents have the opportunity to ask their children questions, elaborate on the story, paraphrase what's going on, which means that parents can use this time to capitalize on early brain development opportunities for their children, including the development of their memory, object perception, spatial orientation, and joint attention. Reading together and the cognitive and social emotional development that supports helps to prepare children for school. The American Academy of Pediatrics recommends pediatricians encourage parents to read aloud with their children to promote school readiness and strong parent-child relationships. Children whose parents read to them before entering school have been found to be more academically prepared and have reduced hyperactivity at school entry. So as I alluded to earlier, reading together also provides the benefit of strengthening the parent-child relationship. Early relationships and interactions have been recognized as critical to infant mental health and their social emotional development. Infants have a genetic predisposition to bond with a loving parent, but in order for that bond not to be disrupted, parents need to participate in shared positive experiences. Shared positive routines, such as reading together, can help to contribute to parent-child bonding. Parents who focus on quality over quantity when reading to their children can provide sensitive and supportive interactions. Improvement in parent-child interactions in the reading context can help to explain cognitive and social emotional improvements, and by increasing parents' sensitivity to their child's ability that allow them to better match their strategies for their child's unique development. Another benefit from shared reading is that it can lead to increased parenting confidence, more parental warmth, and decreased parenting stress. The relationship between parent and child, which is strengthened when reading together, can also impact the parenting style used, including how parents interact with and discipline their children. Reading together can increase responsive parenting and decrease the use of physical punishment, which can therefore improve the quality of parent-child relationships as children grow older. Parents and children reading together also has the potential to improve parents' parenting confidence and the quality of their relationship with their child, which can also help to reduce their parenting stress. So lastly, reading together can help to inspire children to continue reading as they get older, and therefore continue to reap all those benefits that reading has to offer. Reading is contagious, and parents and children reading together can help to establish a lifelong love of reading. A parent's own frequency of reading can also influence a child's reading habits. In a recent study by Scholastic, they found that a parent's reading frequency and their attitudes around the importance of reading for fun had a significant impact on whether or not a child was a frequent reader. So building on the previously discussed benefits, reading can help advance academic performance, help to prevent behavioral difficulties, and potentially increase quality of life. These benefits gained from parents and children reading together can intensify over time and build momentum due to a snowball or upward spiral effect. So for example, reading together can promote the development of literacy skills, which in turn can build an interest in reading, which can lead to increased shared reading, ultimately resulting in improvements in language and comprehension, which are skills that help children succeed in everyday tasks and improve their mental health and well-being. So this is great. However, like most things in life, it's not quite that simple. And the benefits of reading on mental health are not necessarily as linear as I just summarized in this quick presentation. So reading is not meant to be presented here as a panacea. It's not a magical cure-all for any of those issues that I've touched on. There's a bigger picture out there. So among our literature review, we found numerous other factors that can impact how reading can benefit our mental health. And these things included acknowledgement of different demographic characteristics. So how the impact of one's age, gender, culture, and socioeconomic status might weigh in for these benefits. Also how frequently one is reading, the different type of content that's being read, the individuals and parents' attitudes towards reading, as well as the parents' reading style, the presence of any reading difficulties or disabilities, Whether you're reading a physical book or an electronic book, reading in different environments and what that can mean, having opportunities for reflection on what was read, and also your participation in a reading program or a reading group. Furthermore, the influence can also be in the other direction. So there's the potential that, having strong positive mental health can have an impact on your reading abilities. Additionally, there could be many other indirect influences with moderating and mediating variables. So as I mentioned, the topics of reading and mental health comprise large areas of research, and as such, many related topics were beyond the scope of this rapid literature review. These are all areas that could certainly be explored further. So even though there's a lot more that can be explored, we do know that overall reading is good for mental health and well-being, and that reading with children can give them a head start in life by helping them to develop a foundation of critical skills that are necessary for adulthood. So this is a great confirmation of things that I'm sure many of us either already knew or have expected to be true. So now, how can we apply these benefits in our lives and make the most of this knowledge? So one example I will be sharing with you today is how Calgary Reads has created their Comfort Collection book bundles and really building on this foundation of knowledge. So as Stacey said at the beginning, Calgary Reads received support from the City of Calgary through their Change Can't Wait funding opportunity to pilot their Comfort Collection book bundles. These bundles included 3 curated books that addressed the topic of emotions, as well as a brochure that described an interactive approach to reading together, why it's important, and tips for how to do it. It included findings from the literature review that I just described. These book bundles were provided to 7 of Calgary Reads service delivery partner agencies, and staff at the agencies then distributed the book bundles to the families that they serve. Calgary Reads then contracted PolicyWise to do an evaluation on this book bundle pilot. And the goal was to assess how well the book bundles were being received by families, if it helped support families to use an interactive reading approach, and if the bundles were a helpful tool for staff. Data was collected from staff using a survey, asking them to reflect on both their own experiences with working with the bundles, as well as their perspectives and impressions of families and their response. So a total of 30 staff completed the survey. So in terms of what we heard, overall the book bundles were very well received and valued. Families appreciated having well-curated, beautifully presented quality books to own. When asked about how families responded, the most common theme by far was of gratitude, with enjoyment and enthusiasm frequently expressed. And I see there was a comment in the chat too, even about a new favorite book found in the bundle, which just reinforces what I was just saying. The respondents noted how the bundles were a great way to support families to have conversations about their emotions. And this focus on emotions really resonated with families. The books helped give parents a shared language to use when talking to their children about their emotions, which helped to normalize their feelings and provided tools to teach and support children about emotional regulation. The selection of the 3 books that were included was also really well received, and the majority of respondents were saying that the books were either excellent or good regarding the match for families' needs. A respondent complimented the book selection, saying, "It can be hard to find a book that easily relates to what's happening in the world. These books were appropriate tools to talk about feelings and were the perfect conversation springboards." One of the areas specifically that we wanted to hear more about with this evaluation was around that interactive reading approach that was described and encouraged in the brochure. So when I say interactive reading, in short, this is about reading more than just the words that are on the page. This is also known as dialogic reading, which is when an adult and a child have a conversation while reading, discussing the story, asking questions, and sharing reflections. When asked about the interactive reading approach that was described in the brochure provided, the majority of survey respondents said that families understood the interactive reading approach described, and then this understanding was even further enhanced when staff helped support it and model what it could look like. Staff shared that most families were previously familiar with this interactive approach, but not necessarily frequently applying it. Since receiving the bundles, over half the respondents said that their families had started applying the approach when reading with their children, either frequently or a few times. And several of the respondents asked or added that the parents found that using the interactive reading approach helped to encourage their children talking and that it opened up many conversations. To those who said that their families had used the approach, we asked about the child's enjoyment of it, to which the majority said it was enjoyed very much. For those not using the approach, barriers identified included a lack of time, number of children and skill, number of children, skill and energy levels, cultural differences, as well as the lack of interest in trying and feeling that for now, just reading the book was going to be sufficient. Other feedback that we heard was around the presentation and the ownership of the book bundles. So as I mentioned, the Comfort Collection book bundles included 3 curated books addressing the topic of emotions, as well as a bookmark, nameplate stickers for the books, a magnet where you could display your current emotion, and a brochure about the interactive reading, all wrapped up with a ribbon and a gift tag. Almost every respondent said that the presentation of the bundles made a big difference and was nice and appreciated. Many commented about how families felt it was like receiving a gift and appreciated the attention paid to the aesthetic packaging. Over 3/4 of the respondents said that ownership of the books made a huge difference. Children were excited to put their names on the books and reread them many times. Parents were grateful to have the books available for them for years to come. And one respondent emphasized that the book ownership is one of the most critical pieces of success of this concept. So not only were the bundles described as helpful for families, but we also heard about how they had benefits for staff and service delivery as well. One of the overarching benefits of the book bundles for staff was how they helped to remind staff about the importance of reading and having conversations about this with families. So this helps staff to build their capacity and intentionality in the work. So
Laurie,
even though, yeah.
There's a question that this might be a good place to ask. There's a question for someone in the chat from Jill asking, any suggestions for supporting parents who have low literacy and aren't comfortable or able to read to their children?
And then I see Stacy just actually added a comment. So maybe I'll let Stacy, if you want to jump in.
Yeah, that is often the case because we don't find many books in our community sometimes written in other languages. So we really emphasize the importance of talking in your home language and talking about the pictures, and don't worry about the words. You know, the pictures in children's books are filled with wonderful things you can seek and find. You can make up your own story. And so being able to help them understand the importance of just talk about what's on the page, not the words, what you see.
Perfect. Thanks, Stacy, and thanks for the question, Jill. So yes, as I was saying, so this one of the benefits for the staff and service delivery was building that intentionality and the reminder to have these conversations with families. So even though we heard that the information that was in the brochure wasn't necessarily new content for staff, it served as a reminder to apply this interactive reading approach in their work, as well as personally, we heard too, with their own children. A respondent shared that in a team meeting, staff were discussing the bundles and they talked about how powerful books can be and how they didn't realize that how mighty this little package would be, which is where I got the name for today's presentation of the power of reading. Furthermore, respondents shared that the bundles were a tool they used to segue into talking to families about reading in general. So the bundles help to provide staff opportunities and materials to have conversation with families about the importance of reading together. The bundles help to open dialogue with parents about literacy and how they can create space and opportunity to make it fun and interactive with their children. And so that brings us to the end of the content I have prepared for today. I hope you enjoyed hearing about all these things and learned more about the range of benefits reading can have on our mental health. Pulling this together certainly made me want to go go read my book and and reap all these benefits. So yes, parents and children reading together can not only have, those immediate benefits of strengthened communication and relationship building, but also in terms of those longer term impacts, such as setting children up with important skills that they'll need as adults. Calgary Reads has done a lot of work in the area of early literacy, and the Comfort Collection is one more of their approaches for working to operationalize this knowledge. You've seen, kind of their take on it, complete with beautiful aesthetics and identified topic areas and curated books. And I'm sure, as I said at the beginning too, there's other ways that people on the call here today are approaching the importance of early literacy and doing work in this area, maybe in work and also in your personal life. So if there's time, I'd love to hear more examples of projects on that. I know with this group, we're probably preaching to the choir. Since you're coming to this presentation, you're likely on the same page in terms of knowing the importance of reading, but hopefully spending this time together reflecting can continue to inspire us to find new ways and continue this work of adding reading to the lives of children. So with that, I think I will hand it back over to anyone else or just open it up to questions, however we want to do the process there. But thanks for letting me give this presentation on a topic that I love so much. And I'm keen to hear your thoughts and questions.
Laurie, I'll just maybe jump in and just seriously, your whole presentation just kind of spoke to my heart. I have a 9-year-old daughter who avid reader. I think Anne of Green Gables and Harry Potter have definitely helped her get through the pandemic to date. So, but yeah, thank you also for everyone who's participating in the chat. I love to see everyone's ideas and things pop up there. One thing that struck me, Laurie, when you're talking is when you talked about how books bring in not just other worlds, but other world views. And I wondered if you could maybe expand a bit on that. I found it particularly interesting. There was one book we brought into our house. A friend of ours, sister had written it. Anyway, it was talking about African hairstyles. And, my son, was looking at cornrows and thought, he was like, expressing like, oh, that's really cool. Like, I really like that, and it was just a really interesting expression. And I think that speaks to also maybe abilities for diversity, but I wonder if you could speak more about the worldview aspect.
Yeah, I think really kind of you hit it on the head with that of it helps you experience, other worlds that aren't your world or your area of experience. And so it can, help you learn more about others who aren't you. And so it was really beautiful actually reading about how reading can help reduce prejudice. Because it really acts on that like embodiment, like you have to put yourself in someone else's shoes and see kind of the world slightly differently. So a good reflective tool for that. So yes, that really resonated with me as well.
I was wondering as well around, I thought the annotating exercise and moment together was really awesome. And I love that so many people kind of lumped into that physical book space. And I'm wondering, again, more of your thoughts maybe on, I'm always conflicted, like my kids could go read on an app, but I hate that includes screen time. And so I get really torn about, maybe balancing that a little bit. So I'm wondering, your thoughts, or if you've, had some research around that you've read or.
Yeah, no, I don't think you're alone with that, being torn on that. Unfortunately, I don't have tons to add to it. We certainly came across it in our lit review. There's certainly a lot out there exploring this, but just with our scope, we couldn't quite delve into all those differences. But I'm certainly keen to learn more about that because I'm sure there's a lot to be said on that. And I don't know if maybe anyone else in the call is familiar with that research too and wants to speak to that. Please jump in.
Yeah, Stacey, I don't know if you have anything to add in that regard, just, even talking about just looking at pictures, right? Like just the process of looking at books together. You have more thoughts on that too?
I guess I would just say for anyone who has young children in their life or children and youth, at one point we thought that we would all stop reading books and we would all go onto our devices, our iPads, our Kindles, all those kinds of things. And there's been a lot of research done about the preferred device, which is the old-fashioned book. And so wherever we can make investments in making sure that children have access to books, this too has become problematic when we saw the closure of schools and libraries. The very children who needed this daily reading routine were not able to get it because they're growing up in households that do not have access to text within the environment in which they're growing up. So making sure that, devices will give us these vast libraries that we can find a whole lot of books in, but children over and over are saying they prefer the plain old book to read from. And the research is very clear that a child growing up in a home with at least 100 books who has heard 1,000 stories before they arrive at school, they too are being set up in a way that is going to give them the advantage, the leg up. So as much as today we're talking about the reading of it, we also have to pay attention. You know, if you have, many of you are with social agencies, just asking the question, how many books do you think you have in your home, can tell you a lot about what is happening in the language and literacy realm for that little person. So that's a big part of our work, is trying to make sure that people who have a lot of books donate them to us when their children grow up, and then we can make sure that we're getting those books into the homes of children who have none. And you know, this is a big part of why it's so important for us to be working in partnership with the VCC and the poverty reduction strategy, because there is a lot of inequity in our community. And how can we share these tools that are just the basic essentials for making sure that your child is set up for success?
Margot just asked, when you say 1,000 stories, would that include oral stories?
Yeah, the research that that 100 books, 1,000 stories comes from is actually the books themselves. It's not research that was embedded in oral stories, but the oral story is an incredible gift. That if you think there are 2,000 days between the day a child is born till the day they enter school, you could skip every other day and only do one book or one storytelling a day. And what 3-year-old lets you off with just one, right? Some days you're going to have to read them 10 books or tell them 3 stories. So it might sound like a very ambitious goal, but it actually is very doable. And I think parents and all of us sometimes lean in more when we know a target. What should I be trying to do? And we say that 15 to 20 minutes a day of intentional reading and that back and forth of conversation is time well spent.
Yeah, and I was going to add to that we, Calgary Reads and PolicyWise, we've developed a 2-page infographic that we're going to share with everyone. And so it has a summary of the lit review part that I discussed, and then also some, oh, there we go, we're going to see it, some takeaways and ways to apply it on the second page as well.
And we'll make sure that everyone on the call receives this in a PDF form, and please be sure to share it in as many places as you possibly can. I also saw that someone asked about the books in the Comfort Collection. We actually have a series of different book bundles based on different topics, and we can ensure that those titles are included in what we send out to you.
Stacey, I think maybe it would help to actually explain, like we've heard some interesting insights about how the Comfort Collection was helpful, but maybe you could speak to the concept of creating the Comfort Collection and having these pairings of books that speak to certain experiences and feelings, and And also the thought to packaging it in a way that is really beautiful and was well received.
Oh, you're muted.
For the people on the call who thought they were here for 1 hour, this hour has 69 minutes. So I do have time to answer this, but I wanted to be sure no one was thinking I was talking over time, because that's not going to get you back here again. So always block off 69 minutes on the third day of the week of the third week of the month for 69 minutes, because it's the 369. The Comfort Collection, well, pretty soon you'll be able to buy them on our web store, and they are beautiful gift collections of books. I have a strong visual aesthetic orientation to the way I live my life personally and professionally. So everything that comes out of Calgary Reads has to be beautiful and colorful. And we worked with an incredible artist, Carl, who did the illustrations. Each of the bundles are named after a flower. I grew up with a mother as a florist, and so I deeply love flowers, and I did a lot of research about the meaning of flowers. And so I've chosen a flower based on the Victorian meaning of the flower that you would gift to someone. And then I am a voracious reader and an avid collector of children's books. So I love selecting the right book at the right time for the right child. And so these curated books are very specially selected based on the topic. Some of the topics include, all the topics are books that would bring you comfort when you have experienced loss, when you are struggling with identity, when you are trying to revive your resilience, when you have had a traumatic experience. So the Change Can't Wait books that we spoke of today are around emotional literacy, and all children can benefit from additional experiences and conversations about their feelings. We're not all just happy, sad, or mad. There are many variations of the way in which we understand who we are and how we feel. So that book focuses on that. But we were also contracted from the Child Advocacy Center, for instance. Those children are coming to the center that have been experienced sexual abuse. And we believed that the Comfort Collection, a gift when they come, just as they might get a blanket or a teddy bear, this specially curated collection of books would also make them feel safe. And so there's an Indigenous bundle, and we have had that set of books sponsored by Enbridge to be able to deliver those books out to Indigenous families so that they too have books. So there's a set of different ones, and they're all very special. And I hope that for any of you who may have seen families receive them, we spent a lot of time making sure the sets were right and in every way. And books are costly, so it is not easy to be able to supply as many of these out into the community as we would like. And we are actively, looking for corporate partners who are looking for things that they can contribute to that are very meaningful. And so many of the children in our community have never owned a book. They've never written their name inside it. They don't get to keep it. And we wanted these to be those books that they would pass on to the next generation, because these books were so special and they mattered so much.
Thank you, Stacey. That's awesome. I have some books in my collection that got passed down from other people, so and they have their names written in them, and it's a generational thing. So that's really awesome. So our time's kind of wrapping today. So thank you, Laurie. Thank you, Stacey. And also just an excellent reminder from Laurie's presentation that we need to be reminded of the power and importance of reading. And so to pass on the message when and where we can in our own lives and in our circles of people around us. So Stacey, I don't know if you had any last words, otherwise, oh, you're on mute still, sorry.
Thanks for being here. We hope to see you next time, and sign up fast because we almost reached capacity today in what we could accommodate. And so we think we're going to go over our limit, and we don't want you to be the one that misses out. So register soon.
Awesome. See you all next time. Have a good day, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.